Hello and welcome to Introverted Indies. My name is Lydia Baker and I'm here with my co-host Lucy McLaren, and we're here to talk to Ezra Harker and Nell Shepherdson about their small press, so Selkie Song Publishing. So would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your press?
Yes, thank you very much, Lydia. That's very nice of you to introduce us like that. We are co-running a lovely little small press called Selkie Songs Publishing at the moment. I'm Ezra. I am the literary editor. I am a writer myself, and I am a literary mentor. So I work with writers one-to-one to help them kind of develop their writing, whatever that might be. What about you, Nell?
So I'm here really for all things visual. I do the visual content, so the social media and illustration. I'm actually an illustrator, so I don't do very well with words, but I do quite well with pictures. So that's why I'm here. And yeah, I'm also just for support. You know, as a two-man band, we back and forth off each other quite a lot.
We are words and pictures.
Yeah, basically.
Sounds great. So what made you want to set up Selkie Songs? Did you know each other already? Was it kind of something you'd wanted to do for a while? Or?
It's been a rather odd little journey because neither of us actually set it up. It was originally set up by a lovely writer called Dana Goodwin, and I was working with her as a mentor. So I was working with her on a couple of her creative projects. And basically just due to one thing and another, she'd sort of set up the press. She had this brilliant idea. She wanted to have press that was really amplifying trans voices, neurodivergent voices, had a nice kind of green ethos, and ran at it with lots of life enthusiasm, great everything. And then a whole bunch of stuff happened and she wasn't really able to continue it on. She'd brought me in as literary editor at that point, and because of different things that happened in her life, she was like, oh, I don't think I can keep this press running. And she basically said to me, do you want to do anything with it or shall we just let it fall? Well, no, I absolutely don't want to let it fall. At that point, I was editing a collection, an anthology, which was going to be our launch publication. And I was working with a couple of the authors that we'd signed up. And so I said, right, I'll give this a go. And then I mentioned things to Nell, got Nell involved little bit by bit, and then I've slowly dragged her in 1000%. But we have known each other for...
Go, what, 20 years?
Yeah, probably 18. Yeah. I think we're not at the 20 mark quite yet.
We're not quite at 20 yet. Wow, but yeah, really long time. We went to university together.
Oh,
so yeah, we've known each other for a really long time. And Ezra said that they dragged me in. I was on board from the get-go. Really, I really loved the idea. I loved everything, the ethos, and I really wanted to see it work as well. And I sort of saw an opportunity to come in and do something that made a difference, that was different, and that we could make something that could really give those voices to people in publishing and things like that, which is something that obviously Ezra, being the more literary minded and a published author themselves, but also I was coming to launch myself as an artist, as a comic book artist as well. So I really saw an opportunity to do something really good here. And yeah, I'm a really recent addition to this. These are really my first launches, where Ezra did the anthology. So I'm coming in really quite new, and it's a big learning curve for both of us. But yeah, Ezra is doing a lot of the technical stuff that I can't get my head around.
Ezra also cannot get their head around. Let's also have that.
There's been many expletives.
many expletives along the way. But also a lot of love.
100%.
I think it's alternatively screaming of, oh my God, there's so much to do. This is so confusing. There's so many different, dealing with distributors and all kinds of just bits and bobs. And then, oh my God, we made a book. With the two books that we are releasing really soon, I've ordered a couple of copies and they are apparently coming today. And I was really hoping they'd be able to come so I could show you them and wave them. Yeah. Had the notification saying they're on their way. So I'll be really delighted if we get interrupted so I can go and grab the copies and go, look, we made them.
Oh, I can't wait to see them. My God.
Really amazing.
So could you tell us a little bit about these books that you're launching? I know that Lucy and I chatted with the authors of the books, but would you like to tell us a little bit about maybe why you chose them and what is so exciting about them for you guys?
I was involved in the selection process with Dana more than a year ago. It was a really interesting experience, especially as an author and as a mentor, to be on the other side of that selection process and to see what it feels like to be looking at hundreds of submissions and going, yes, no, yes, no. And there are very few 100% yeses, 100% no's. You have a huge pile of like, wow, these are all interesting. What do we pick? How do we go? So the two books that we have picked are absolutely wonderful. Leeds Point by Cindy Ellen Hill and Loverless Beds by Michelle Meckel. They're really nice complementary books as well. We've got this sort of model that we've worked out where we have two authors releasing books at the same time and kind of being author buddies. We sort of trialed it out. We were a little bit hesitant at the beginning. I remember Nell and I discussing it, being like, is this going to work? And actually, it's been wonderful. I think it's been really nice for them and for us.
Yeah, they've been like amazing. And I think it was complete coincidence, wasn't it? That they're actually not too far away from each other geographically. And they could communicate and do things. Obviously, they're both from the States, so that's something else that we've had to get around is how to deal with UK and deal with the States, and they're actually two very different beasts. Certainly from a marketing point of view, the audiences are different, and you have to adapt both ways, which is, probably not something that an independent company would go for, but I'm really glad that it did work out this way, because it's a really good experience.
A big learning curve, I would imagine.
Yeah. The books themselves are really quite different, but they're a really beautiful pairing. They clicked really nicely, and part of the selection process is actually finding what works well together. So Leeds Point is a historical novel in verse, and Loverless Beds is a poetry collection that has a very strong emotional narrative arc. But kind of every poem stands very freely by itself, quite personal, quite autobiographical in a lot of ways, lots of kind of magical themes, but they both have so much magic running through them and folklore and a kind of awareness of pain and the difficulties, the voices that often are not amplified. They both kind of have these strong narrative voices that you just feel like these two voices sit well in a room together. So I think that was something defining about putting these two together, going, yes, these work.
And they were singing each other's praises, weren't they, Lydia, when we interviewed them? Yeah. They seem to have really gelled.
Yeah, they really have. That's been really, really nice to see, actually, because when I came in, I didn't know this at the time, but essentially they were like strangers that were put together because of the fact that their work gelled so well together. Right. And it kind of brought them together, and they are coming over here actually for the launch, but they've been supporting each other with their things that they're doing in the States, and that's just been really wonderful to see.
And I think it's a really nice thing to have. It's a model we're definitely going to do going forwards, because you're not alone as an author. I think there is something quite lonely as an author, and I've seen lots of times that we as the publishers have put something forward to them, and they've clearly chatted about it and then come back to us.
Yeah.
Being an author, and my publisher sent me something and I'm going, I don't really agree with that. I don't know how to voice that. And actually, I love the idea of having an author buddy to be like, right, we good? Okay, right, we're going to present a front. It's not that it's a combative relationship, but there's a strange relationship between author and publisher that is, as wonderful and friendly and as great as you get on as people. There's a professional relationship there as well, that you're both sort of relying on each other in a quite, and it's not like any other relationship I think you have in life, in work perhaps, as well. And seeing how they're promoting each other and supporting each other in their releases has been great. And it's nice that they get on, and I don't know if this is always going to work, but picking two books that have a kind of vibe, will those two authors always get on together? Right? There's an interesting philosophy to look at there.
Yeah, and I think quite early on when we were discussing the company, I think both of us were quite like, we want this to be collaborative. We don't want it to be you just give your book and the publisher runs away with it and does whatever they want. We want the authors to have a lot of say and a lot of control and a lot of give and take, which is another, like, Ezra was saying, exactly that's the point, is to give, so it's not two people against one author, it's more of a shared experience between all of us.
Yeah. And are you looking forward to the launch? Because they told us about they're coming over to London. It all sounds very exciting.
Yeah,
So
that's really exciting. We're so happy that they are able to do this, and they're so enthusiastic. And we have our launch party all booked and ready to go. So, yeah, we're hoping to make it really special for them.
yeah, I mean, that's something I think we didn't anticipate with them being international. We were ready to be having a launch over here that would be us, and or maybe a Zoom or something. But fantastic, they're both coming over. So we're having a launch in Teddington in the Park Hotel on the 13th of July in 6 o'clock. So come one, come all. It'll be fantastic. We're going to be having readings from them, and that's going to be the moment it all becomes real, you know, that we're going to have the piles of books they can be standing there, and it's so exciting. You know, it's a wonderful thing. I've been on the other side as an author, but actually there's something nicer almost as a publisher to be on the other side of that, just to have guided somebody else's journey. Maybe there's some pressure off because it's not your book. I think as an author I always have the terror. My two fears of releasing a book are nobody will read it and people will read it. Both equally horrifying. I don't have that as a publisher. I just go, people are going to read it and it's going to be wonderful, and I want everyone to read it, and I feel so proud of these authors. The work they have done is incredible, and I genuinely have such joy in reading their works. I am so happy to be sharing it. There are so many people I've mentioned these books to and going, I want to give you a copy. Just, I want to put it in your hands, and then you will have it, and then you can enjoy this experience too. I'm a great book recommender. I love sharing books with people, and I have these two books I've been working on very intensely for about a year. I haven't been able to share them with people. So it's nice to be able to finally go, right, here, read it.
I'm not published in like a traditional way. Visual art really isn't, but it's been nice to see the journey from that angle as well, and to be behind something, and actually the whole process of bringing something out. It's something that should be, you know, appreciated, because as Ezra said, you know, we're really proud of them. We're really proud of the work they've done and the process so far. I mean, I would definitely jot this down as to a really positive, like, first experience of this.
And, you know, it's definitely something that's continuing. We've currently got a short story competition that is open for submissions, which is lovely seeing those come in bit by bit. I've sort of been saving them mostly. I love reading submissions. It's one of my absolute favourite things. And I believe we're planning to open submissions for full-length works again. I don't know if we've quite got a date for that, but autumn time we'll be opening that up again after the short story is open. We've been building up so much to this moment of this release, but we're also going, right, well, we're still continuing on. We've got more projects to come.
Yeah.
Because with the short stories, is the plan to do another anthology?
Yes, we're going to have an anthology. So we have 3 prizes that we are giving. We really want to be amplifying queer and trans voices. I think that's a really significant part of what Selkie Songs is, and it was a real driver for Dana when she set this up. So we have a prize for trans voices, and that doesn't need to be written specifically about being about transgender. It's just maybe a trans person writing whatever it might be. We have a mythological prize promoting myths, whether those are old myths, new myths, twisted myths. I think there's something that we like of looking to the past and looking to the future thing, I think, that Selkie's doing, which is that we're taking the myths and legends of the past and carrying them forward. And what's the third one? Oh, it's the Eco Prize, isn't it? About something that's connected with the earth and looking at ecological narratives, which is very exciting to me. So we have those individual prizes. We'll be celebrating 3 individual winners, and we'll be having a shortlist, and everybody in the shortlist will be published in an anthology. Very nice.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That's going to be really exciting. And there's still a whole month to enter.
Yes, indeed.
That was my next question. How long is it still open
Yeah.
for?
I think 1st of August is
1st
the
of
cut-off
August.
date. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a whole month. It is £5 to enter, but that just helps with the production and to actually limit the amount of entries we've had, because we've had so many, which has been absolutely wonderful. But yeah, I think that's part of the learning curve, is we're kind of realizing, we need to narrow it down a little bit as much as we can to keep up the quality of what it is that we're putting in, and things like that.
But
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
thing's really lovely about this, and I think sometimes, certainly as an author, and I think you often kind of think you just disappear into the slush pile. But there are short stories I'm seeing that are being submitted for this that were also submitted for the anthology, and they've been edited and they've been improved. But also, I'm remembering people. And advice to authors, work on things. Don't just keep submitting the same thing without developing it. But also, when you submit, you are putting your name and your writing in front of people. I've definitely seen a few. Oh, you're back. Oh, lovely. And you have that little idea of, oh, lovely. Yeah. I remember meeting Joelle Taylor, the fantastic spoken word artist and indeed published artist, and many years ago, and I was chatting to her a little bit at an event, and said who I was, and she sort of kept going, I really know you, and she went, oh yeah, I do know you, I've read some of your work for the competitions. And that was astonishing to me, that she knew was through a process that I just gone, oh well, I didn't win, so that was pointless. But I encourage people to apply for these things, particularly I think with the small presses. Someone is looking at you and they are remembering you.
And I would say to any aspiring authors, create relationships with things like small publishers, and that fits really well with you guys being the introverted indies, because a lot of artists, writers, everything, we're an introverted bunch in general. But I would say, if you can, send us a message, chat to us, come to our events, so we can see your face, we can, have your work in front of us, put your work in front of us so we can see you. And I know that's really hard sometimes, and you have to be super vulnerable to do that. And it is a very vulnerable, a very scary thing. Like Ezra said, you're equally, terrified that someone won't read it, but you're terrified that someone will read it as well. That's really something that I would advise, as hard as that is, you have to get over it. We are approachable, we will reply as much as we can. If anyone reaching out who wants to chat on DMs or anything like that, we really do try to get back to you and help you just as much as we can in any way. The whole company is about collaboration.
We aren't sending out vast amounts of critique on every single submission that we receive, but if we can send off a line or two if you want to know, if you want to ask. It's not something we're doing as standard, but if you do want to say, have you got any guidance for next time for anything? I work as a mentor, I work with writers one-to-one, and sometimes that is doing editorial work, and sometimes it is going, you've got a massive plot hole here, and sometimes it's just me going, have you written anything? But most writing does need revision. We are not rolling in money, you'll be shocked to hear. We can't be doing huge developmental edits. There are things I've seen and gone, right, that is a beautiful novel, but it is in draft 1 and it needs to be in draft 8 to be published ready. That's not something that we can take on. Obviously there are people like myself that work one-to-one with people. If you can do that, if you want to do that, great, lovely. Have a writer's group, go on a little 6-week course, do whatever it might be, find another writer and just sit down and go, you look at my work, I'll look at your work, we'll make it through. Well, if you're submitting to an indie press, chances are we might well be able to say, oh, well, actually, the main reason that we turned it down was actually we felt there were loads of typos in it. We felt that actually the answer is it's too similar to something we've actually got coming out. That can actually be quite reassuring to hear sometimes.
Obviously, we can't take on loads of stuff, but I'm more than happy to reply to a DM to chat, and we remember the names, we remember the handles and things like that. Just building up that relationship so that we can see you is, I think, what we want to encourage.
It's lovely to hear, because as an author, publishers and agents feel really unapproachable a lot of the time. They feel like they're up here and we're down here. So to hear that from you guys is a really lovely, encouraging thing, I think, for a lot of people, hopefully, who are listening to this.
I think that was something that we want. We wanted this community, that the publishing house is a publishing house. It's professional, it's producing quality work, but it's also a community beyond that. We want to bring writers together, even if it's work that we don't publish as a big launch or something, or even publish at all, at least bringing writers and artists together so that they can interact with each other and kind of have Selkie as that's how we met kind of thing,
Yeah, it is a lonely thing. There's a danger of isolation, and I think the struggle for the introverts is the connecting, absolutely. There's a sort of grim networking version of it that is horrible and doesn't make sense, and certainly for someone like me isn't really possible. But there is also the talking to other creative people, and we're really keen to promote other small presses and other authors. And if you are a self-published author and you're doing the kind of stuff that we like and support, we will absolutely be there to support you and share your stuff and create a connection and have you to come along to our events and read at our events, that kind of stuff. So we are small, and we are relying on that stuff as well. We're talking about when we're looking at authors that we're taking on, we're also thinking, well, how is the promotional side going to go, and are they going to be happy to do the event, and all of this kind of stuff that we can't do. We aren't Penguin. We can't wave a magic wand and put your books in Waterstone. And I don't know if Penguin do have a magic wand. I hear they do.
I think they do. They
Yeah.
Yeah. Surely,
They only use
surely
it on one on every 50 books.
Yeah.
But that does mean that we are requiring things from the authors. As Nell said, it's not hand your book to the publisher and then go back to your turret and write your next book. You do have to do the event, but actually finding the nice way to do that, finding the fun way to do that, finding the actually...
And with
it's
another
lovely
person as well.
Yeah. To have somebody to go through it all with you and have somebody really in your corner. I think, we really want to be, when we're pairing up authors, we want authors who are going to love the books that they are working with. And actually, as a publisher, I'm finding it so much easier, promoting other people's books than promoting my own book. It's very difficult to be like, it's the best book that's ever been written by me. That is not remotely who I am and who I'm able to be, but genuine enthusiasm for the books that we are publishing. I love them. I'm so excited that I get to share them. And part of having that pairing of authors, we have things woven in, like we have, obviously when you buy author copies, you get author copies really discounted price and everything. You don't have to pay bookshop price for your own book. But also we have that for the other authors within Selkie. We want authors to be doing stalls, and if they're doing a stall for their own book, take along the other books from the press as well. Have more things to talk about, and sometimes it's easier to go, yes, great, I know this other author, they've written this book, and if you buy this one, you get mine as well for half price. It's finding all the ways of sharing the stuff we love, I think.
Yeah. We want to give people the tools to do that as well, and support. Because the vast majority of people are not social media literate. And as a small press and an independent artists and writers and self-published writers, it is unfortunate, as awful a beast as it is really important that you have some kind of social media literacy and are able to promote your work. So as well, that is something we can help support with, so that you can then go on and start building yourself as an independent, as a published author with us.
I'm going to just pause there, just say Nell has been amazing with what she's done with Selkie Songs. All of the social media and everything is amazing. The illustrations that she's done with it. I'm also going to just shout that she does independent stuff as well. So if you are an author and you need some help with your social media, get in touch with her, because she is fantastic. But it also feels... the social media stuff that is being produced feels really authentic and genuine, and sometimes I think people dive into AI and come out with some really disconnected, not connectable stuff. And sometimes I see people doing their author pages or even their small press pages, and I'm just going, I don't feel there's a human there. No desire to connect with this. And I think what Nell has done for Selkie is really lovely and true to the whole ethos of what we're doing. And you get that feeling of, yes, these are people. This is what they're doing. This is why they're doing it.
Oh,
Help is out there.
thanks.
Don't feel it has to be just you.
Yeah, yeah, and that is obviously like, I guess we should talk about it, and I get up on my high horse here a little bit. The whole AI thing is a thing, and I think you're either on one side of the fence, you know, you're doing that, or you're completely against it, and I think we both sit like completely against it for creative purposes. I mean, of course, it has its place, but for human-made creative things, like that's just not a way that we want to go. Like, I totally get it. If you're a self-publishing author or you're trying to grow your social media, it's so easy just to type something in and it's produced that piece of content for you, and all you have to do is post it, and that's great. But if people get wise to that, people know what that is, and then that's how you're presenting yourself. And you have to carry that with you. If you start doing that, you can't really go back from it. And there are lots of people who will help. There are lots of artists, and there's loads of artists who actually offer really good prices. You know, it's not much to have a character drawn for you that you can then reuse in posts and things like that. You know, you can use it again and again. And if money is the issue, you know, hop onto Canva and do, which I know is full of AI tools, but you can bypass all of that and create something using stock images. That doesn't take a lot of time, and it is completely free. You know, you just have to like set aside an hour to do it.
I think like also it astonishes me for small independent creatives doing that kind of thing, because you can be replaced. When I look at, you know, a book cover that's got this kind of synthetic, shiny, not engaging, I feel like this is the level of quality you're going in at. A press that I follow, that will remain nameless, but they have changed. They've really changed it to using very AI stuff. It actually took me a minute. I was like, oh, they've really gone kind of downhill. I wonder what's happening. And it took me a minute to process and go, oh, they've just started using AI for their marketing. The books they're producing may still be actually good, because they were really good. They had a really lovely quality of writing from what I've read in the past. But suddenly I'm doubting it. I'm going, oh, somebody doesn't care anymore.
But as well, you don't know, like, if the books they're producing are made with AI. If they're happy to use it for their marketing, are they also happy to use it to produce the actual work? It's your integrity.
I've definitely read some AI books recently. Well, not read them, but looked at and gone, oh, no, this is not why I read books. What is the point of this object? It's very confusing to me.
Yeah. They have an odd feel, don't they? If you pick up something and you read a bit, you think something doesn't feel quite human, not quite right.
Yeah, there's a
I don't understand the thinking process of wanting to be a creative without actually putting any work in. I mean, because you're not a creative anyway using AI, but like wanting to write a book without writing the book, because we enjoy actually telling a story and creating this world and these characters. So why would you want to use a tool that not only takes away from that process but creates something that's completely subpar? I just don't.
I think there's something that I do get, because of what you just said there of wanting to write a book without wanting to write a book. Oh God, yeah, I do. God, yeah, I've got a couple of ideas. I would like to just go, bam, yeah, it's done. And that, I think the instinct I can see of, oh, I love this. And then the point where it gets difficult. And I think as established authors, I think as authors who've done the work, we know how to get to the end. And I think it's especially for young authors, I'd say, I mean, people who are starting their writing journey, you hit that difficult point. And if you don't have a support network, if you don't have the guide, it can feel really, you know, we forget that moment of, oh my God, this is awful, this is terrible, I'm never going to manage this, when you've got a finished book. And I think the thing is that it isn't yours when you then give it to the bot, and the bot writes something for you. And I think that can also be disheartening for a lot of writers, because they go, well, I guess it's just done it. I think there's a narrative today that, like, why do we really need creatives? And, you know, the world isn't in great desire for one more book, but oh my God, it is also. Like, it's such a profound and beautiful thing. Like, I have worked with so many writers and I have read so many incredible things that they are writing. And it is difficult to publish your work and get your work out there, but your work has value for what it is. The story that you have to tell is worth telling. And there are lots of AI tools. Yes, great. Use them as far as they're tools, great. But know that the hard bit of writing is worth it to get to the end and go, oh my God, I've written the book. I can give it to someone else and it is mine. It is my voice.
I think this is something that a lot of writers are maybe not realizing it's taking away the process from them, is when they then, okay, so they've written the book and then they stick it in the bot to edit it, and you tell it to edit, rather than having somebody actually proofread your work or do it like that. I mean, that again, yes, this might be an expense for you, but or maybe you're lucky enough to know somebody who can do that, but again, putting that through AI, it will make edits for you that are not your true voice, and it will also mean you're training its model by doing that. So your words, your everything, your voice essentially is going into that machine. And I get that that's really hard to avoid these days. If you put anything out on social media or anything like that, AI is reading it all the time. But to actually take your manuscript at its first draft level, stick it into AI with the thought of, okay, I've done all the work, I just need it to proofread, I just need it to spell check or whatever, or grammar check, but you've now given it that for it to take your voice and write for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not always very accurate. Even I use the free Grammarly just for where the commas should be and things like that. Some of the suggestions on there for word corrections are obscure, and you think they want to put had a stormy sleep or something weird like that. You think you can't trust it to
which is all very well and good if you're a seasoned writer and you know what you're doing. You can pick up, a tool like that is handy in that it highlights those issues, and you can say, okay, right, that what I mean is this, and you can rewrite it. But for somebody who is new, somebody who's maybe a student, somebody who doesn't have those skills in place, have no choice but to rely on that rather than actually figure it out for themselves or have somebody else point it out for them. It's taking away your learning process of being a writer, being a creative.
I think that's a really nice kind of distinction, is the sort of the Grammarly checking everything and looking at each bit, and then just kind of uploading it and trusting what it's giving you back. Because, thinking about myself as an editor, I don't edit someone's work and hand it back to them and go, right, there we go, I fixed. I go through and I go, this, I'm not sure about this, I think this, or this needs to be a comma. I think this sentence doesn't make sense. And then there is a conversation where they come back and they go, yeah, I accept that. Oh, I totally agree. Yep, thanks for that one. Actually, I really like this. I did quite a bit of developmental edits, especially with McLaren and Lydia L, with Leeds Point as well, that we had quite a few back and forths on certain things that I initially felt, I was like, oh, I don't think that's quite working, I'm not quite sure about this, and a lot of authorial interjections and things. And actually, that's something that should be a conversation, because there are things that then Cindy, Michelle came back and pushed back on. Well, no, I've put this in for this reason. And at that point, I've then gone, oh, right, okay, well, in that case, you need to add this in to make that clear. And it's an important part of the process that you're not just accepting everything, that you are going, maybe, yes, no. So, yeah, people rule. There we go. That's my conclusion.
Yeah, I think that's where it comes back to community being so important. Like having other authors to support you during the writing process, who you may be able to swap writing with and have that kind of early reader input. That's why it's so invaluable having people around you that can create that. And like you were saying earlier, wanting to have that within your press is really valuable as well.
And I think this is a really significant part of why people do writing courses. So Nell and I met through St Mary's Creative Writing. And we have a community of creatives around us from that very degree, 20 years later. A really huge part of my editing process while I was writing my novel, The Aziola's Cry, was that I was doing my doctorate at St Mary's, and I actually got matched up with my supervisor. Just went, actually, do you want to come and talk to the people on the creative writing MA? And that writing group has been with me for years, and they're just a lovely bunch of people. But actually, that community has been so lovely for me, because partly just sharing work in front of each other, about 5 to 10 people coming along and just going, oh, why have you done this? How have you done this? And finding people who you know their feedback, you know what it's going to be, and you know where you're going to agree with them and where you're going to disagree with them. Because you don't just want to give your work to one person and go, is it good? And I think that's what a lot of writers do. And it's usually, you know, starting out writers, it's usually their partner or their parents or someone really close to them who might not be a writer, might not know how to give feedback. Some of my early feedback was sort of crushing and devastating, of like, oh, I didn't really believe it. Oh no, the thing that my heart is in, you didn't believe it. So yeah, get yourself a good community of writers is wonderful. But also then coming through that, people coming to each other's launch, people promoting each other, people going, I remember that book you wrote. Somebody messaged not so long ago on one of the writers groups going, I've just remembered the book you were writing about years ago. Have you finished it? Because I just saw a publisher has an open call that's a really specific thing that's really that book that you were writing. But that just made me really happy to see that. It was not for me, it was different people, but it's like, this is what that community is.
Obviously, you've obviously part of Selkie Songs publishing, but Ezra, you said that you have some novels that you've published, and then obviously now Lucy and I both know that you're a fantastic artist. We have some wonderful art by you. So if you wanted to talk a little bit about your own endeavours, then that'd be great to hear about that.
Yes. Now you've just had an illustrated picture book published, so I think you should go.
Yes, I've just done a project for a self-publishing author, Tara Fitzpatrick. It's a fully illustrated children's book. It's now available on Amazon. It's called The Wizard of Willowmere. The main message of the story is not judging people by how they look. You know, it's about digging a little bit deeper. It's about accepting identity in other people as well. So that's been a really good project, and that's now out and available and out into the world, which is a really bizarre thing, because I've never had a full picture book that way, like a children's picture book published before, so that's really cool to see. But on top of that, I do a lot of character design these days, and I find that my work has gone a little bit down kind of like a punk route. I'm going to be doing a bit more sort of anti-AI stuff and climate change stuff, and kind of more work centred around the human experience is where I'm going with that personally. I'm still doing some projects where I'm hired as an illustrator, which is really cool. So there is something in the pipeline yet that I don't think I can really talk about, but I'm hoping that will make its way out soon. So yeah, and mostly I'm online. I mostly do digital art these days. As terrible as this is, I was like, I had a pen and paper in front of me the other day, and it's like, where's the layers?
Where's the undo button?
Exactly. The multiple undo button. But yeah, I did start out doing hand drawn pen and paper comic books, which I haven't done for a long time. I am still working on my webcomic, Wolfskin,
which is wonderful. I love Wolfskin. It's such a beautiful story.
It is. It's on. Yeah, it's not on. I hope so. That's the plan. I need to remaster it for print, which is the goal with that. I've come to a sticking point with it actually, that's a bit frustrating, so it's on hold, but it's definitely not on the back burner, and you can read that all for free. It's on Globo Comics and Webtoon. You can also see that through my social media as well. So yeah, I'm doing lots of drawing.
I love Wolfskin. Wolfskin is really cool. It's very funky. It's nuns and it's werewolves. I'm there for it.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got my novel, The Asiola's Cry, is my historical fiction novel that is about Mary Shelley and Percy Shelley and their lives together, and particularly kind of their creative relationship. This was something that I was really doing as part of my doctorate. I've always been fascinated in the two of them. I'm always fascinated in collaborative relationships. As an undergraduate, I remember finding out, these two people were married. You know, we studied Percy Shelley and the Romanticism, and then we studied Frankenstein and Gothic, and I went, hang on, what was that relationship like? And I couldn't find enough information on them together. They seemed very polarized, and there were sort of camps of people that went, this writing couple, no, he was so controlling of her work, and then kind of other sides going, no, she's the real genius, no, he's the real genius. You know, it sort of felt very, very combative, the way people were talking about them. And I went, well, actually, I want to know. And so I spent far too many years of my life researching every little detail of, oh, look, they had desks beside each other, and look at their handwriting, and look at how they were editing each other's manuscripts. So a massive history nerd in that way. And then I wrote this up into a novel, which was about kind of the 7 years that they had together. And part of that is the real hardships that they went through, and the depression that she experienced was, something that really spoke powerfully to me as somebody who's had my fair share of depression in my life. Reading her journals and her books, the real kind of mental health that she struggled with. And then at the same time, this kind of incredible desire to write and to communicate and sort of big up each other's works and get so excited. I love reading how excited Percy Shelley was about Frankenstein, and how he was like writing to his friends and being like, oh, this is the best book, this is such a good book, I'm not going to tell you who it's by, and then like 2 paragraphs later being like, actually I have to tell you, Mary wrote it, she's so good. And yeah, I love doing that.
It's an absolutely incredible book. The research that's gone into it is insane, and it's such an entertaining read. I couldn't put it down. I'm really very, very dyslexic, so a book like that is daunting for me. But I couldn't put it down. It's an incredible piece of work.
Oh, bless, thank you. I've done 2 projects. I've been doing a lot of short story writing lately, actually. I've got an upcoming short story in a collection called Strawberry Gothic, which is all Gothic stories centred on Strawberry Hill House in Twickenham, which has been edited by Russell Schechter from St Mary's. I've been re-editing that recently. Really quite excited about that. It's a little short story about queer identities and how that gets erased from history. Just something like having a country house, and how people talk about people who lived there who may or may not have been queer, and then somebody within that finding the house is sort of haunted and kind of consuming their identity. A lot of queer stuff is the lingering theme in that. But I have a story I want to be working on, which is looking at Mary Shelley's life after Percy Shelley's death, which is again very, very queer, and is a side that people don't know so much about. So that the project I may or may not get to. And I've got a poetry collection that I'm trying to work out what to do with as well. So always 5,000 projects. Always.
Well, that's really funny. I know a little independent publisher that publishes poetry.
What are they called again?
Selkie Songs.
Hey! And we come full circle.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, it's really interesting to know about the other hats that you're both wearing, and it's a lot to juggle, especially you, Ezra. I'm always impressed by authors who can work on more than one thing. I don't understand.
It's called ADHD.
Yeah. Because Ezra's actually also a really good traditional artist as well. Leaps and bounds above anything I've ever produced.
That's not true. But
that is true.
Yeah, that is the thing I do when my brain has gone insane, is that I need to sit down and draw.
Yeah.
Too many words, need pictures. My turn off thing, switch everything.
Cool. So to wrap up then, where can we follow Selkie Songs? Obviously, social media. I mean, is there a website that people should check out?
Yep. The website has just launched. We're www.selkiesongspress.com. And there you can find all our events and everything that's going on. We're on Instagram at Selkie Songs Press. Is it selkie.songs.press? I can't remember.
That's the thing I should know, isn't it?
I should know this because I run it.
I think there's not too many Selkie Songs presses out there. No, if you put it in, we should come up.
Yes, but we're pretty active on there, and Facebook as well. Selkie Songs Press. Just type that into the search engine and you'll find us. Please do follow along. We've got lots of things in the pipeline. But
my stuff is under Meliorist Rights, which is where I my mentorship stuff and my own separate things. But these days it's mostly throwing that at Selkie as well, because we are non-stop.
And Nell, yours is for your artist one. You've got a separate one.
Yes, so I actually I'm an artist under a different name, which is Lorelei Lake. I'm mostly on Instagram at Lorelei_Lake. Lorelei is spelt not the correct way. LORALAI_Lake. Because again, I'm very dyslexic. And now it's stuck. So yeah, you can find everything about me mostly there.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you and the press. We can't wait to check out all the books that are from Cindy and Michelle, but all the future books that you will undoubtedly publish as well. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're
And we'll see you
Thank
welcome.
next
you
time
very
on
much for having
Introverted
us.
Indies.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.